Once upon a time, on a sad Valentine, in a place known as Hanniger Mine, a legend began, every woman and...
Welcome back, everyone, to Dead Air! Woo! And we are going to continue our Valentine's Day extravaganza. With a double feature. Yes, it was because I was sick last week. I had a killer cold.
Oh, bro.
So we are going over 2 Valentine's Day horror movies to make up for that difference. We're going over 1981's My Bloody Valentine and the killer remake. And we're going over My Bloody Valentine 3D, came out in 2009, and is a killer remake. I hope y'all are ready because I really don't think you are. But as always, let's get into the horror movie summary. We're going to start off with the original 1981 My Bloody Valentine. We start out with the film setting. The film is set in a small mining town of Valentine Bluffs, where the community is preparing for its first Valentine's Day dance in 20 years. The dance was banned after a horrific tragedy in the mines when an accident trapped several miners underground. But only one miner survived, Harry Warden, who was driven insane by the experience and turned into a murderer. Harry Warden killed the mine supervisors he blamed for the disaster, leaving their hearts in candy boxes as a warning. The town canceled the Valentine's Day celebrations ever since, fearing Harry's return. Years later, young miners want to bring the dance back, believing the past is behind them. A new series of murders begins, with victims found gruesomely killed and their hearts removed. The killer is dressed in full mining gear, including a gas mask and a pickaxe, resembling the legend of... We are then introduced to Sheriff Newby, who investigates these killings, and he believes that they may be connected to the old mine massacre. So TJ returns to town after years away, creating tension with his former girlfriend Sarah and her current boyfriend Axel. Suspicion grows among the townspeople as fear spreads that Harry Warden may still be alive. The murders continue, targeting people connected to the Valentine's Day dance and the mining community. Axel becomes the prime suspect due to his strange behavior and personal connection to the mine's history. The truth is revealed. Axel is actually the killer, suffering from trauma and a fractured identity tied to the original disaster. Axel believed he was carrying out Harry Warden's revenge, continuing the murders to stop the dance from happening. In the climax, Axel is then confronted in the mines, where the chaos and memories of the tragedy resurface. Axel dies during the final struggle, ending the immediate threat. The film closes with an ominous warning, suggesting the terror of Harry Warden's legacy may never truly disappear. Love that. Here's the plot to My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009. A cave-in in Hanniger Mine traps 7 miners. The lone survivor is Harry Warden, who killed the others with a pickaxe and was left comatose. 1 year later, Harry reawakens on Valentine's Day. He goes on a murder spree, returning to the mine shaft where he was initially trapped. A group of teenagers are throwing a party there, and very few survive. Tom, Axel, Irene, and Sarah are the only ones to escape, leaving Tom behind when cops show up and kill Harry Warden, leaving Tom traumatized. 10 years later, Tom's father passes away, leaving him to inherit the mine. Tom returns to the town after vanishing for those 10 years, and right when he does, Harry Warden returns, killing 2 people, leading locals to believe that Harry Warden came back because of him. A love triangle between him, Sarah, and Axel causes drama throughout the film, and Tom decides to sell the mine, which is seen as very unpopular, And Sarah is included in this. Sarah convinces Tom not to sell it, and when he goes to the mine to inform people of this, Harry kills someone in front of him.
Suspicious, very suspicious.
Since Tom was the only one in the mine, people suspect it was him who did it. Tom tries to convince Sarah and a man named Ben that Harry was the one who did it, but they find it hard to believe because Harry is supposed to be dead. They visit his grave to prove this and discover that his body is missing. Harry continues this murder spree. He kills off Ben, then Megan, one of Sarah's co-workers. The words, "Be mine forever," are written above her corpse in blood. He later breaks into Sarah and Axel's home, killing their maid and retired Sheriff Burke. Tom is certain that Axel is the killer, whereas Axel is certain that Tom is the killer, and that whoever is committing the murders is pretending to be Harry Warden. Tom gets Sarah in his car and tries to convince Sarah that it's Axel, but she doesn't believe him. Axel calls her and tells her that it's Tom, and she crashes the car trying to get away. She hides at a shack and discovers evidence that could imply Axel is the killer. Warden shows up again, chasing Sarah into a mine shaft. Harry vanishes and she encounters Tom and Axel, both of which are trying to convince her that the other is the killer. After a slip-up, Tom revealing that he knew what was written above Megan's corpse when he only could have known that if he was at the scene. It's revealed that Tom suffers from some sort of split personality disorder and that Harry Warden is hanging out in his head, taking over and killing people, meaning that Tom is actually responsible for the murders. Harry comes back and tries to kill them, only for Sarah to shoot him and a pipe behind him that causes an explosion and subsequently another cave-in. They believe him to be dead, but when rescue teams arrive, he kills one of the rescuers, steals their clothing, and escapes. Let's begin with Siena's thoughts. We've got Siena's thoughts. Whether you like them or not, you've got Siena's thoughts. Okay, so my thoughts on this movie, on these two movies. So first of all, My Bloody Valentine from 1981, okay? It's a little dated, but I still love it so much because it has a lot of practical effects that I think are amazing. That first kill is so freaking brutal. It's really good. So then we have, to me, one of the biggest and most annoying tropes in horror movies, and I can admit this, it's kind of like whenever I see the trope, I'm like, ooh, I don't like it. Okay, so it's the miscommunication trope. So, honestly, in the original movie, everything really could have been circumvented if somebody just communicated directly in some way. If someone would have just said, hey, you go tell everybody, don't do this, or else something bad's gonna happen, okay? This could have been completely avoided if this would have happened. And I hate that trope because it's just so annoying to me. Especially because a lot of horror movies don't do it correctly. And it's like, really? Really, guys? Really? So that's one thing. It's also the fact that nobody freaking listens in this damn movie, okay? There's a lot of, hey, don't go in there. There's something happening in there. And people still go in, okay? This combined with the miscommunication trope drive me freaking nuts. But I think, and we're pivoting here, I believe that this movie shows us a lot of different angles and a lot of different perspectives that we didn't know when you really dive into it. So I'm going to sort of go into the themes of this horror movie and really show you why this movie is iconic. First, I want to talk about the mining costume because it is pretty big in both of these movies. It's very, it's very iconic. It is very original because it's you have the gas mask, you have the person is covered up from head to toe. And again, it reminds me of Scream. It reminds me of Valentine, where you don't really know who could be behind the mask, besides that you could tell it's sort of a male figure, okay? So going a step further from that, the mining suit costume is iconic because it gives that impersonal touch to the killer. It gives it another layer of terror when you think about it. So you got the gas mask, the headlight, and the actual outfit, the I don't know what to call it, the onesie, jumper, I don't know. But it's used to dehumanize the killer, and it turns him like Michael Myers. That's what I was going for. It reminds me a lot of Michael Myers because it dehumanizes the person. It makes the person have a more unstoppable sort of aura to them. And it gives it more of a force of nature rather than a human piece, more than a human killer aspect to them. So again, you got the dark eye holes of the gas mask, and that just adds to the fact that it's sort of an inhuman and soulless type of evil. So then we get to more of the thematic aspects of this movie. And I know this is gonna take a weird turn, but we have the pickaxe, okay? And yes, you wouldn't think that this is really thematic in these movies, but it is. Because for some reason in the 80s, horror was truly obsessed with talking about our sexual habits in the 80s, and it sort of brought to light the dangers of being sexual or doing sexual acts when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult. And this movie furthered that with the use of the pickaxe in the kills. And it's supposed to be sort of a metaphor for doing sexual things. And it was often, as is sort of a trope now, that when these teenagers are doing sexual acts, the pickaxe is sort of used as a punishment for that. And this is very, very common in the 80s, early 80s, during horror movies to show the danger of having sex. So, again, you can kind of see this in the movie Halloween and in just a lot of movies in the 80s. You can see that. They even talk about it. Again, Randy Meeks talks about it in Scream. You're never supposed to have sex.
Instance number 1. You can never have sex.
Okay, so this is just furthering that. So then we get, in the original, the miner always puts the hearts of his victims in Valentine's Day chocolate boxes. So this theme is supposed to show that broken or dead nature of love and romance in the town of Valentine's Bluffs. And to me, it's just another metaphor for how love can make you feel. And I enjoy that. I love that literal sort of take on love and the fact that it is shown throughout this movie continuously. I wanted to also just kind of touch on some different themes as well in My Bloody Valentine 3D, the remake. So, in the remake, I have yes, I'm going to go over themes. But I also wanted to give some thoughts on some of the things in My Bloody Valentine 3D. So I love this movie. I am a big proponent of cheese and cheesiness and corniness in my horror movies. It's one of the reasons why I love Scream, and it's one of the reasons why I love this movie. Now, so first of all, we have another stacked cast in this frickin' movie, okay? You've got Tom, who is Jensen Ackles, okay? And let me just tell you, whew, that man is beautiful. Beautiful man. Could not stop staring at him the whole time. And then you also have Axel, who he's from the original Final Destination movie. And I have to say, I was talking to my mom about this, as I do. This movie truly does give me Final Destination feel, vibes, that kind of thing. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I love this movie is Final Destination and My Bloody Valentine kind of share that corniness and that cheesiness. Also, I gotta say, the kills in this movie were very, very iconic. I loved the kills in this movie. They were gruesome, they were bloody, they were gory, they were no holds barred. I mean, the original movie had iconic kills, but as you do in the early 2000s, this movie just took it up a notch, okay?
Well, you think I was Harry Warden or something? Hey, Michael, check this out.
So I loved this movie. I will say that another very iconic person in this movie was Burke. He was actually in a Stephen King movie called Creepshow. And he played the dad who is in the intro and the outro and sort of a little bit throughout. I believe he plays like in the, I guess you would call like the transitional snippets of Creepshow. So I am truly a fan of him as well. So loved that. And one thematic piece I wanted to touch on in 3D, in My Bloody Valentine 3D, is that you have the more upfront heartbrokenness of love throughout this movie. So especially with Axel and Sarah, you can see the brokenness of love because Axel is cheating on Sarah.
Ew.
With one of Sarah's coworkers.
Right? It's like, hey, everybody look at me. I'm 1 part robot and 3 parts asshole.
Jesus Christ!
And what ends up happening? She ends up getting pregnant. As you do. So I believe that is also such a critical piece of this movie that that the original and the remake share, because both of these movies are very different. They change the characters around, they change the plot around, which I can appreciate, but I believe that this is the piece that they both truly share, besides like the costuming and all that sort of thing. And so I do love that aspect between both of these movies. We have a continuation of a new segment. We have Siena's Music Mayhem segment. Siena's Music Mayhem segment. Siena's Music Mayhem segment. Yes, in this segment, we go over the soundtracks of these movies, and My Bloody Valentine, both movies have very, very original takes on the movie soundtracks. Okay, so let's begin with the original. So the original soundtrack the original score was composed by Paul Zaza, a Canadian composer known for working on several horror movies and thriller films, and he specialized in the eerie tension-building music rather than the flashy themes. And you can tell that throughout the original movie, because there's no really significant music songs necessarily that you can automatically recognize, but he rather relies on that really creepy, sort of subtle type of music that Valentine sort of built as well. But at the end, there is no really flashy songs or significant songs that we would recognize. So he relies more on the atmosphere, the suspense, and unsettling tones rather than memorable melodies. So then we also get the fact that he uses more of the sudden stingers and these sharp strings rather than anything else. And it's supposed to help with your jump scares throughout the original movie. It makes them hit harder and it makes you get scared more easily. So another really important aspect of the score in the original movie is that Zaza wanted to make it feel more industrial, more synthy within the score so that you could actually feel like you were in a mine. And I think that really added to the strengths of this movie, and it really helped us get into what exactly My Bloody Valentine is all about. And it added to, like I said earlier, it adds to the experience of this movie and the experience the audience has with this movie, which I enjoyed a lot. I did recognize the fact that there is nothing that we would really recognize mainstream song-wise for the 1981 movie, and I genuinely really enjoyed that. So then I'm going to talk more about the remake, which, unlike Zaza, really kind of, it took some aspects of that, but also put in some more iconic songs as well. So the original score was composed by Michael Wandmacher, and he, again, also relied heavily on the industrial sounds, the deep basses, the sharp stings to build that suspense. And he went more of the claustrophobic and mechanical route, so matching the mine setting and the slasher tone to give us more of an intense feel throughout the movie. But we also got some featured songs within this movie that are more metal, hard rock focused from the early 2000s. So we have a few very recognizable songs here. And of course, the most, to me, iconic one is at the end credits. And this is 2 Weeks by All That Remains. Again, another one of my favorite bands. And again, it just sort of wraps up this movie into a nice little bow and adds that metal grunge feel to the ending of this movie, the credits. And then you also get Cold by Static X, Burn It All Down by Shadows Fall, Storm by OTEP, Stillborn by Black Label Society. So the remake used metal songs to give that more modern and aggressive edge compared to the original. The score, again, kept the scenes tense and jump scare heavy, and together they pushed the film into a more gritty, high-energy slasher remake rather than the slow burn that the original was. And I believe that is the most differentiating aspects of this movie. To finish this episode, I know we're all gonna miss Siena's fun facts, but I wanted to keep it focused, guys. And I feel like we hit a lot of the themes here, and I feel like this has sort of changed my view on both of these movies going through this episode. And I hope that after you watch it, you're able to see the different aspects of these movies and see the different pieces that come together when you make a remake and when you make an original horror movie. So we have Scarometer, That meters as you get scared. Scarometer. That meters as you get scared. So, on Scarometer for today, the original My Bloody Valentine from 1981, I think gets a 7 from me. And this is, again, and this is going to be similar to the remake, but because I'm not going to just throw this on willy-nilly. So I'm really going to only watch this movie because it's Valentine's. And because I'm a sucker for a theme when it comes to my horror movies. If it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to watch a Valentine's Day horror movie. If it's Christmas, I'm going to watch a Christmas horror movie, etc. So I think that the different thematic aspects that went into making the original My Bloody Valentine showed us what a Valentine's Day horror movie could be. And I loved that about this movie. And that's also why I scored it 7 out of 10 rather than something lower. I also loved the practical effects in this movie and the different uses of metaphors and such throughout this movie. Seeing these different things gives me a truly different type of appreciation when I watch a horror movie, when I can pick it apart and see the underlying pieces of what makes this horror movie horrific. And I love that. Now, for the remake, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And that is because, as I have said, I am a sucker for a cheesy horror movie. And this is certainly what this was. I mean, the fact that you have the stacked cast, Jared Padalecki, the guy who plays Axel from also Final Destination, Burke, who's from Creepshow as well. I love these aspects of this movie, and I think it gives us something to relate to in the horror community. And if you're new to the horror community, I think this is another jumping off point that allows you to say, okay, I watched My Bloody Valentine. What is Jared Padalecki in? Jensen Ackles. What is Jensen Ackles in? What is Burke in? And you'll watch Creepshow, you'll watch Supernatural, the show, you'll watch Final Destination because of Axel. I just love that aspect of horror where it takes different people from different very iconic horror movies in the genre and uses them in a new and different way. Also, I will have to say, I love the gore in this movie. It's, again, one of the reasons why it's an 8 out of 10 rather than a 7 out of 10, because it gives that more modern feel to this horror movie. Also, I will say, it is an 8 out of 10 and not higher because, like the original movie, I'm only going to really watch this during Valentine's Day season, okay? That means that, I'm not going to flip this on a random Tuesday in July and watch it, okay? No, I'm going to watch this during Valentine's Day, which is why it's not ranked higher than this. So I hope you guys enjoyed these movies and loved them as much as I do. And you know what? Thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you continue to join me. If you have any thoughts, questions, have anything to bring up to me, please interact with me on social media, the Dead Air Podcast. You can also scan this flow code right here. Thank you. And you can go follow me on Instagram and enjoy some teasers of episodes, different events that I may be at, or if you want to talk to me and hang out with me, you can also message me, okay? Comment on my posts. Thank you so much for joining me today. And that wraps up our deep dive into both the original My Bloody Valentine and its brutal 3D remake. 2 slashers that proved love can really hurt. From pickaxes to pink hearts, we've seen how this franchise carved out its place in horror history. But the scares don't stop here. Next episode, we're turning our attention to Sinners 2025 in honor of Black History Month. A fresh nightmare that's already stirring up major buzz. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. And remember, folks, don't split up and don't go into the basement. Bye.
Thank you.